Hello and welcome to today's Just Chopsing Podcast. And today with Steve and myself we have Luke Williams, and Luke Williams is from Shadow Bones. How are you doing, Luke?
Very good. How are you guys?
Yeah, well,
all good.
Bearing up, actually. Steve looks like he just got out of the bath.
I'm just about to shower, but hopefully that's not obvious.
Well, you got a hat on, but Steve's...
I'm glad I put some clothes on now, to be honest. Now it's a video call.
But you didn't get time to do your lippy, so...
No.
So, I read a bit of your bio.
Yep.
See if I can get it back up, actually. And it says you used to play in touring bands?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing music for like 25 years, something like that. So, yeah, I've played with loads and loads of different people doing different things. But this is the first time that it's been a solo project for me, as it were. I've generally fronted bands.
Okay.
And if I've sort of got annoyed with that and fallen out of love with it a bit, I've disappeared and then somebody's got me back in playing guitar or bass or something like that. And, you know, I started music all that time ago because I love it, and I only want to do it because I love it. So at any point, if I've had enough or need a break, I take that break and I get back to it, really.
Oh, right, okay.
So why would you not go under your own name then? Why give it a separate name?
Well, Shadow Bones, it basically comes from two phrases: the shadow of a man and the bare bones. And that's because all of these songs were written in about the second week of lockdown one. All those feels like a million years. And all these songs are basically about my early alcohol recovery days. So it was never really planned, but it was kind of, I was at home on lockdown like everyone else, and over the years I've worked with lots of different clothing brands and jewelry brands and motorbike companies and all that sort of stuff, and everyone was like, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to create content for social media, it's gonna all die and everything. And they just said, can you do some live performances? And I was like, well, yeah. But at the time I was singing in a different band, Broken Dollars, which was a way more kind of Black Keys, Jack White kind of thing. So we didn't really have acoustic songs. So I thought it appropriate to write a song. And the first song I wrote was called Freedom. And that sort of sparked something in me to just keep writing. And it was sort of at that time when, you know, you couldn't get toilet roll, you couldn't get a tin of beans, you couldn't get pasta, like the really simple things in life just were unavailable. And I think for me, it made me reflect back on my past and sort of appreciate what I have, what I've lost and all that kind of stuff. And I think it sort of took me back to a darker time in my early recovery days. So because I felt that I really had opened up about all of that, Shadow Bones sort of just felt apt. But also, because I've always been a band member, it felt weird to just call this Luke Williams, because I guess, and as it is now, you know, fast forward 2.5 years or whatever it is, and I am now working with a band. So I think that was always the bigger picture, even from the start, that hopefully one day it would move from a solo project back to a band project anyway.
Okay. Well, but what sort of bands did you play in before? Have you played any big bands? Because your music is a little bit Kooks. It reminds me a little bit of the Kooks.
Yeah, I've not ever played probably in any like chart bands or any bands that you would have heard of. I've played with a lot of chart bands, as in like on, you know, touring with and gigging with and different TV stuff and promo stuff, like Primal Scream and people like that kind of, I actually met them at an awards ceremony really drunk, and that's how that started. But that was back in the drinky days. But yeah, I mean, it's generally kind of, I've come really close so many times to it becoming my job, and then for whatever reason, like family or, you know, or the band deciding to split up or whatever, that kind of, I've always sort of wanted to stay true to myself and honor that. Why I started in the first place was because I love it, and, you know, friendship and family had always come first, and I guess the right thing had never come along. So yeah, I kind of ducked in and out of it all the time. So I guess that's why maybe I never did become what I ultimately wanted to.
Yeah, well, it's a tough game anyway, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, and it's never harder than now, I don't think. You know, with 60,000 new singles coming out every day, it's just you're just another one.
Another brick in the wall.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's the kind of story.
All right, yeah. I just wondered. I thought, this, because your music sort of sounded a little bit familiar to me, and I thought, I wonder if he's played in any bigger bands, because obviously, like I said, it reminded me a little bit of the Kooks, and I was thinking to myself, maybe he was, I don't know, maybe he was in the Kooks once, or.
It's good to. I mean, I know the Kooks. Like, we recorded in the same little studio. It both began in the same place for us, but I've never actually played with them, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, it's a compliment. I think they're a great band. I love them, so that's a big compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Shadowbones project. I mean, from the stuff that you wrote, a lot of it is obviously deeply personal. And from a sort of dark time in your life.
Yeah.
Were you ever afraid of opening that out and letting people see that and hear that? Was there ever a nervousness about opening that side of yourself up for scrutiny almost?
Yeah, I mean, certainly in this project, because it is so honest and it is so true. Most of my audience online and everyone kind of knows my story anyway. But I work a lot with different, recovery charities, whether it's, drugs or booze or whatever it is. So I've got quite a sort of community online, and through me sharing so openly, which did take a long time to do, and be honest to myself and everyone else, it does encourage others, I think, to sort of do the same. And I get people messaging me and all this kind of stuff, and sort of, asking, have I got a problem? Do I drink too much? Is my partner an alcoholic? All this kind of different things. So I'm happy to help to an extent, but I don't ever really like to get involved. But I'm certainly got enough of a community to guide people in the right direction, as it were. But yes, I mean, it's the first thing of this that I ever released, even in, like, it was a 15-second teaser. I was so nervous. But it's all been really well received. And I think because it is so true and honest, and I was doing a session last night and I was speaking to the drummer, and he was just like, it's really refreshing to listen to songs that are actually about something and actually mean something. And I think back in the past, when you were just kind of a bit more of a pop monkey and just churning tunes out because they were catchy and you wanted to tell records, it's actually nice to write about something that means a lot to me.
Yeah. I think you see that a lot more actually with the artists that are coming through. That today, in today's times, a lot more people seem to be writing from personal experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all globally been through a hell of a lot over the last couple of years, and I think a lot of people have started new things and have had a word with themselves and kind of reconnected with themselves in lots of different ways, and maybe found an inner truth that they didn't even know was there, and are sort of going with it. So it's great to see, really. Yeah.
Because it says you've been sober for 7 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, were you like, I'll say affected, if you like, by drink and drugs? Did you find that way through your musicianship, or was it something else?
I think it was something else. Like, I've never in my life ever done drugs. It was always alcohol that was the problem for me. But I was like technically an alcoholic, but not an alcoholic in the way that most people think an alcoholic is. Sat on a bench or drinking secretly, and that was never me. Like, I could go for weeks or months without drinking anything. But my problem was because at the time I was a big party animal, and the environments that I was surrounded with, alcohol was just so readily available and quite often free that I just couldn't moderate how much I was drinking. I would go 3 days without even sort of thinking about it, kind of thing. And it's a shame, really, because I can't remember a lot of a lot of the great stuff that I've done now. But you know, it's a completely different life, and that's what this album is about. And it's called In Another Life. And you know, it's just about, if you have that chance to live your life again, what would you do differently? But also in recovery, we sort of talk about our past life as a different life, another life, you know, and you talk about yourself in the third party as, you know, I refer to myself as him because I think that he was a different person to this guy, kind of thing. So that's what that's all about.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, how old were you when you started drinking?
About 12.
Yeah, and that's exactly the same as me, to be honest. I mean, I think, I mean, I'm from a different generation to you, but when we were kids, you know, drinking culture was quite. I mean, I'm from South Wales, so was quite the norm. You know, you were 13 years old, you'd already started drinking.
Yeah.
You go into the disco on a Friday night, you were getting fucking wasted, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then, but that carried on then, and that carried over into going from weekends to weekdays. And then as I was going through school, also, it was getting to the point where by the time I was 15, I was drinking in my dinner time.
Yeah.
You know? And then by the time I'd left school, I was in a pretty bad way, actually. I was drinking all the time. By the time I was 20, I started suffering from, I can't even say the word now. Oh, fucking hell. I was talking to my girlfriend about it the other day, actually. But anyway, I was already an alcoholic by the time I was 20. And like the same situation as you say, it didn't really affect my normal life as such. Yeah. But you know it affects your life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was a different person. I wasn't a nice guy. Like, I didn't like me. And I didn't trust me. And ultimately, that was why I had to make that decision to just call it a day. Because if I couldn't trust myself, then I just couldn't risk what I was going to do or who I was going to hurt. And, you know, I just completely blacked out. And I wouldn't remember anything at all. I'd wake up to like a million missed calls and like 25 messages and like, geez, man, do you remember what you did last night? I'd be like, nope. You know, it's kind of like I never preach to people about not drinking. Ultimately, it's personal choice. But if I can sort of like share my message to maybe the younger generation, which might make them consider a bit more mindful drinking, as opposed to having to go out like we all did and get pissed out your face. And I think it's such a thing as well. Like there's someone on Instagram called Sober Celebrities, and it's actually really interesting how many of our peers, like film stars, rock stars, are actually now sober. And I think it's so important that especially the younger generation are aware of that, because they're so obviously we all idolize these people. And when you realize that actually all these cool people are completely sober, and a lot of them are actually out of choice or for health reasons or fitness or whatever. I remember one of my friends saying to me like a few years ago, he decided to quit drinking for a few months, and he phoned me up and he's like, look, man, I'm going out on a date and, but what can you do sober? And I just said, everything. Like nothing has to change. You know, you can go out for dinner, you can still go to a pub, you can go to the cinema, you can go and sit on the beach, you know, you can go and watch a cricket match, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to drink. That is like a choice. And people go, yeah, but it's Friday, so you know, it makes absolutely no difference. And I think for me, like naturally, I was a really shy guy, so alcohol was definitely a kind of coping mechanism, like confidence booster. But now, like I don't shut up, as you can hear. Like I'm much better kind of talking to people in, you know, social situations and all that sort of stuff. So it's definitely grown me as a person.
Yeah. I still find it quite difficult, to be honest, to talk to people, but
I mean,
it's a bit of a weird misnomer. I mean, like you said, I mean, like, I sort of had that same sort of culture as you through the drinking and everything, and then in my later years, I went and bought a pub.
Yeah.
But I never drank that. I didn't drink for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I started drinking again after some personal tragedy, if you like.
Yeah.
And then that sort of went on for a few more years. And then I bought a pub, and then my drinking sort of calmed down again, which is quite a bit of a misnomer, really. And now I very drink really. I don't drink alcohol at all anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I've switched my focus to if I need a drink, I'll take a cup of tea.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, for me, the first go-to was definitely coffee, and then I couldn't find a coffee that was strong enough, and then I had to, do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting you say that. And for me, the biggest reason not to drink is seeing drunk people, because you go,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
Yeah.
like, so to be surrounded by that is actually, I think, a great reminder as to staying on the right path, or at least doing it in moderation and with a sensible head on.
Yeah, I try to stay away from drunk people, to be honest.
Yeah, I do. I hate it when people try to tell you that you're wrong and you don't understand. You can't even say it, mate. I'm not even listening to you.
But it also says in your bio then that you went through a homeless spell.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of been a little bit blown out of proportion. I was never on the streets or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Kind of for a period of time, because I had to kind of rebuild my life, shall we say, a couple of times. I had no fixed abode, let's say that, for quite a while, and I was just kind of sofa surfing and sleeping in basements and all this kind of stuff, getting myself back on track. But thankfully, I've always had a great kind of support network around me, and a great group of friends wherever I've ended up or gone, really. So yeah, it's not as bad as it sounds. But yeah, I definitely didn't have a permanent address, shall we say, for a couple of years.
Oh, right. So it was more like relationship breakdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Kicked on my mate's sofa, and
yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Times two, I'll add.
Yeah. Well, we've had plenty. Well, I've had plenty of them anyway, but yeah. So. But I mean, we were supposed to do this meeting. Now I feel like I'm in fucking AA. We were supposed to do this podcast last week, but you were making a documentary. What was your documentary about?
Yeah, first of all, I'm so sorry about that.
No, that's no problem.
So basically, what I've decided to do is essentially just a visual biography. So nothing too long, and I don't know how people are actually going to be interested in listening about it, but it's just, you see it on paper so much about who I am and how it started. So it's just really kind of actually talking to a camera and expanding on that, and just really about how it started and what the songs are more about in more depth, as opposed to just what you read, from the press release. Because actually, I kind of partially scripted it just so I wasn't waffling and I had something to reference to. And doing it actually made me realize different different explanations to what the songs are actually about. So, for example, my current single, Over and Out, I thought and sort of promoted it as kind of being in a relationship with somebody that's just not understanding and not hearing that it's over, basically. Over and out, as in the kind of call over and out. But then doing this video biography, it actually made me realize that it wasn't about a relationship with a girl. For me, it was actually about my relationship with alcohol. And I didn't realize that needed to end. And that was actually over, or should have been over, a long time before it was. And then the next single, which is about to come out next week, Only a Dream, is, again, it's about that first few seconds when you wake up in the morning, whether you're sober or not, and you can't remember if you've actually done something or if it was just a dream. And I had that, like, obviously, as we've talked about so many times. So that's what that one's about. So it's just nice to kind of explain a bit more through this documentary about me and about how it all started and what the songs and what the album's about.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's like waking up in a police cell and not even realising what you're doing there.
Been there.
Yeah, you know, me too. But it's like, oh, wait, guys, like, where am I? Oh, fuck.
I just remember ringing the buzzer and going, "Can I go home now?" Yeah. And where's my shoes? That was the two questions.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, yeah, it's a shame that alcohol can affect people in such a bad way. You know, I mean, such a mind bending drug. Actually, I mean, you would think that it would be prohibited in some way, but
yeah, I mean, it's
now it would be.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I know that they're trying to up the age on everything, which I think is a fantastic start. You know, as I said before, I personally have never done drugs. Alcohol was enough for me. But I do totally agree that actually it's a far more dangerous drug, I think, than actually taking drugs, and does a lot more long-term and even probably short-term damage to people, not just medically, but, you know, mentally and their lives. Because, you know, drugs is a short hit, or it's too expensive for a lot of people, or people just choose not to touch it. Whereas everybody does alcohol, or it's just a very normal day-to-day part of their routine and life, basically.
Yeah. I mean, because I live in the Netherlands now, and it's such a different drinking culture, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, from South Wales, I mean, you've always had that binge drinking culture.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in the old days when I was growing up, the pubs were open at 12 on a Saturday, close at 3, and then they'd be open again at 5, or 6, and then they'd be closed at 11, you know. But in Europe, it's very much, they open, you know, in the afternoon, and they open until 4 a.m. most places.
Yeah.
But people don't even like go out until midnight, especially on the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and they drink little tiny beers, and it's not, you know, it's like a quarter of a pint or 25 cl maybe. And that, you know, and it's very moderate.
It's just a very sociable thing to do, isn't it? People don't go out to get drunk. They just go out to enjoy each other's company and do it the adult way kind of thing. It's a shame. It's more similar like that here, I think, for sure. But maybe we'll get there like that one day.
Yeah, maybe. Do you think it's because of the rules?
I think, you know, it's possibly just a better way of life there. And I think...
No, I mean, do you think the binge culture drinking is because of the rules that were in place, you know, from when we were growing up?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think if people are allowed to do it, they will do it, you know. And, you know, this country, everybody wants to do everything in excess and, you know, follow one another and, just do whatever they can, you know, to escape. And, you know, spending a lot of time, you know, in London and having a lot of friends in London, you know, like I would say 86% of them were alcoholics or drug addicts, if they didn't even realize it, you know, because in the kind of music, TV, film, fashion, whatever, it's just such a huge part of it. You finish your job, you go to the pub, you stay in the pub, you go to bed, you get up, you do it again. And there's kind of no escape because it's just what everybody does. And I think when you can't, that is your life, and you can't sort of take yourself out of it, there's no excuse, or there is no way out, basically, which is why most people I know have now left, or they live here in the country. You know, it's a bit calmer.
I think everybody underneath all of that, everybody is looking for a coping strategy, and alcohol is a socially and culturally acceptable one.
Definitely, yeah, totally agree. It's something that everybody can connect to. Everybody does. You know, everyone thinks it's still a bit naughty and it's a bit cheeky and it's a bit clever to do. But you know, it's what people do. It's an easy escape. Very, you know, it's a great way to meet people, great way to socialize, a great escape from whatever it is you need to escape from. But you know, I've just come to realize that actually there is no difference to life with or without it, other than you generally have more money and you don't
that's
every
true.
weekend. And you normally have a weekend because you don't just want to sleep through it.
Yeah. Wake up feeling like shite.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Time and time again. Yeah.
When I was a young boy, yeah, I said I'd never get older, head over shoulder. Now I'm on my way, I know I'll love you till ever after. Life's masterclass, yeah. Been 10 years now since I never knew you. Still holding out for a better view, yeah. He has got a way of getting over.
And there's much more openness now in terms of talking about addiction and, you know, the related mental health issues that go with that. But of course, there's still a pretty major stigma attached to both. I mean, has that been part of the nervousness for you in terms of being so open and telling your stories?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has. You know, whatever it is you're kind of opening up to and I guess being honest about, you're always concerned about how that's going to be received. When I made the decision to be sober, I did a Facebook post. This was really before Instagram was kind of a thing, or certainly for me. And I just emailed all my close friends and family, and I just did it in one hit because it's so much harder to have that awkward conversation over and over again when people would expect to see me in so many different pubs and places, to have to explain again why you don't think anymore and why you've made that decision. So to just do it in one go, and it was kind of done. And actually everyone just said, congratulations, mate. And everyone just said, that's absolutely brilliant and totally support you. And, you know, all my recovery friends, they always, if anyone ever asks, what's your biggest tip? What's the first stage? We always just say, surround yourself with the right people. Because if you don't have that pressure and you don't have that kind of temptation and you don't have that, you know, that peer pressure and that kind of stuff, it's obviously so much easier. You can just get on with it and you can just be supported and just just enjoy it basically.
But you were lucky then. I mean, like you said, you put it on social media and then you got a good response. I mean, but there's probably plenty of people that put things on social media and don't get such a good response, you know?
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
can be the downside then of social media.
Yeah, big time. I mean, there's a lot of downsides to social media, and you've always got to anticipate what you might get. But I think because so many people knew how I was, it was kind of like, oh, finally he's realised. Thank God for that.
Right, okay.
Long overdue. But yeah, I think also because I explained and I was honest about it, it wasn't just like a fad, and it wasn't just like, you know, there's so many people I know that just almost now do it for an attention thing, and they do it to try and gain followers and all that kind of stuff. You can tell when it's not authentic. You can tell when people haven't actually really been through it. I watched something the other day with Russell Brand, and he was just saying the hardest part of addiction is that it starts with pain and it ends with pain. And that is just so true. Like it's just really, really true. It's far from easy, but I think because I didn't ever feel that I was addicted to alcohol, I just knew that I couldn't moderate it. I didn't have so much pain, and because I knew 100% it was the right thing to do, there was no doubt, there was no regrets. I just looked at it as if I was allergic to something, because essentially I was, because it made me a shit. You know, it wasn't, you know, if you're allergic to cheese, you just don't eat it. So when I viewed it like that, as it wasn't even an option, it made it so much easier.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, actually. To be honest. I mean, like I said, I mean, my go-to now is like a cup of tea, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
But I need that cup of tea, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like, and I've got such a massive cup. It's like a pint.
Yeah.
To be honest.
That's what I mean. Everything just changes to something else. Like I'll have 3 cups of coffee now. I say cups, I mean jugs of coffee.
Yeah. I'm not really a coffee person, but
Now, by means of a clever segue, you said that your first tip for anybody is surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
Is that what your plan is to do with Shadowbones? Is to musically surround yourself with the right people?
I mean, I'm very lucky to have a lot of great friends that I've gathered over the years that are really willing to help and support. And I'm just meeting people all the time. Again, like it's such a different world. Like, you get all these management companies and record labels that contact you all the time and say, "Oh, I'd love to work with you, man. I really believe in your stuff." And it's like, okay, I'll have a chat with you. And it's like, for only £850 a month, we really feel that we could guarantee you nothing and essentially do nothing for you. And I think that's really difficult for the youngsters. And, I've learned the hard way a few times, so I don't trust anyone. But aside from all that, I am, very fortunate to be surrounded with by the right people and a great team, both production and media and social media and PR and now band as well. It's great. I've never worked with these guys before. They've all worked with each other for many years. So it's sounding great. I just really, really want to get out and let people hear it.
Yeah. So when are you going on the road?
Well, there's no plans of tour at the moment. Certainly not this year. Really, there's we will do a lot of events, as we have been doing so far over the summer. So we did the Bike Shed show at Tobacco Docks in London, which is basically Europe's biggest motorcycle show. And I still got a lot of that. Used to be my circuit with the old band. So obviously this is a very different sound, but it's definitely more events that I'm looking to do, and hopefully festivals next year, because obviously everybody this year was kind of booked on 2 years ago, so it's all rolled over. So as a new artist, it was really, really difficult to get involved. But I'm doing Salcombe Live on the 8th of October, which we're really excited about. That's going to be the first proper band outing, as it were. We're hopefully doing something with a great band called Holy Coves on the 1st of December. So it's really just a case of keeping an eye on the social media and just, following and keeping up to date with everything that's to come.
Okay. Do you ride motorbikes then?
I do, yeah. I love motorbikes.
Yeah, what do you ride?
Reward. That was my reward. I bought a Harley Sportster.
That's not a motorbike. It's an armchair.
My one wasn't. It was really uncomfortable. Scary on the main road when you're riding next to a massive Arctic truck when you're about a foot off the ground. I soon gave that up because I got a dead arse and I couldn't really go much further than the road. And then I moved into Triumphs and rat bikes and that kind of more calf racer.
Okay.
But I don't actually have a bike at the moment, unfortunately, because I'm probably going to kill myself.
All people say that who don't ride motorbikes very much.
I've got one leg and no arms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a common misconception, I guess. I mean, I've grown up on motorbikes since I was like 13 years old, and everybody says, "Oh, if I had a motorbike, I'd kill myself," but you don't. I mean, you learn respect for the road and everything around you.
It's all the other morons. It doesn't matter how good you are; it's the other idiots.
Right,
and that's the problem, I mean, a good friend of mine. We did a podcast with him a few weeks ago. Lost half his leg in a motorbike accident.
Yeah, it's so sad.
A van driver knocked him off, but But yeah, it is. It's scary. I mean, I've had family members killed on motorbikes and stuff, but everyone says, "Oh, I'll kill myself on a motorbike," but maybe I'm lucky.
I mean, I think a hell of a lot.
You're not just thinking for yourself; you're thinking for everybody else as well, aren't you?
Yeah, and you can't stop. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Because I've got a my personal opinion is everyone should ride a motorbike for 2 years before they're allowed to take the car license.
Yeah.
Because then everyone would be so more aware of what's going on around them.
Exactly, and you'd look and you'd like indicate and all these sort of things, and just have respect for other bikes for sure.
Well, you just got a lot more respect for other people on the road, and we spoke about it before, and it just boils my piss that people can't use an indicator.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah. Indicators for decoration, especially on BMWs.
BMW, I was about to say.
Yeah, and Audis. It must be the German thing.
Yeah.
But all right, then, mate. I don't know if you've got anything exciting to tell us. I mean, you're not going on the road as of yet.
No, nothing as of yet. My phone's about to die, so I'll keep this very brief. So the brand new single, Only a Dream, will be out next week on the 29th of July. And there'll be another single, which is the title track of the album, In Another Life, which will be out at the end of September sometime. And then hopefully the album will be out shortly after that, kind of end of October, early November, although that isn't a confirmed date yet. As I say, just keep an eye on the socials for update. And I hope next year will be a really busy year for gigs and just getting out and playing.
And when you're ready to announce a proper tour, then we'd love to have you back on. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic. That would be great. There'll definitely be something happening next year for sure.
Well, we've got a story to tell now, actually, on our radio show, because we're actually on a radio station now called BHP Radio.
Okay, cool.
And that's owned by a motorbiker.
Oh, nice.
So he does a lot of events and stuff, Speedway and everything, and he sponsors young kids coming up to Speedway.
Okay, cool.
So we can tell your story on the radio station.
Yeah.
And
that'd be wicked. That'd be brilliant.
Play some of your tunes.
And a big shout out to the Bike Shed in London. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll let you go before your phone drops off.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that. So unprofessional. Yes.
Nah, it's okay.
And also, just congratulations on your continued sobriety.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Long may it will continue, because otherwise I won't get any further.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. All right. Cheers, mate.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Thank
Luke.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thanks,
no
mate.
problem at all. See you again.
Cheers.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
When it's over, will you tell me this time? When it's over, will you be on my mind? When it's over, will you say goodbye? was all I ever really had. Yeah, all I ever really wanted was to be happy. I hope you understand. Was to be happy. I hope you understand. Was to be happy. I hope you